So now, let's get this jam-packed day started. First up, the Next Gen Talks panel, moderated by Medin Admasu. Medin is a program manager with the Ontario Trillium Foundation. For the past 17 years in the non-for-profit sector, Medin has done everything from launching a talk show to organizing conferences on conflict resolution. He is a proud husband and father of 2 little next-gen philanthropists. Medin?
I have pictures.
Oh, he has pictures. Medin, the floor is yours.
Actually, at this time, I'd like to invite the plenary speakers to come up and take a seat as well in their nice, big, comfy chairs. Thank you, Wabano. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, I'm going to try that again. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, thank you. Back in school, right? Hope everyone's doing well. We are very, very excited for today. It's been, 6-7 months coming about that, and we've been meeting, and Sam is if you ever get a chance to work with her or for her, definitely take up that opportunity. She's awesome. So is the committee, but she was definitely awesome. All right, so when we started talking about this opening plenary, and we mentioned a lot of, just ignore that. We mentioned a lot of different names. We wanted one special speaker that can talk about philanthropy and someone that was local. We did mention a bunch of other people as well, but we were looking for someone local that can really speak to philanthropy in Ottawa. And then we decided that we ended up with this group here, the 4 of them. We decided that we wanted to inspire and motivate the community from many different angles. And they represent the group that we have here today, no pressure. Is representative of the diversity of Ottawa community and how this city and this community does its philanthropy. So who do we have in the mix? We have one of Canada's top 20 under 20, another top 40 under 40, an individual who has inspired generations of young people to give back, and another who is leading fundraising campaigns locally but is impacting lives across the world. Pretty good panel, wouldn't you say? So we will allow them, each are going to speak about 8 minutes, give you a chance to hear their stories and their experiences with philanthropy in this community and beyond. And we'll take questions and answers at the end. Sounds good? All right, the energy's a little low. We're going to bring it up. This is why we have these folks here. We're going to start with Fahd Alhattab. Let me just give you a little bit of a bio for him. Excuse me. We're going to start off things with Fahd. He comes from a family tradition of giving back and supporting your community. His bio can tell you the endless amounts of awards he has, and which you have in your program. But what's different about him is his character and his positive attitude towards his philanthropic activities. That's what really stands out, and you'll see that once you get the chance to actually speak with him. For example, right now he's the co-chair, Fahd, co-chair, Youth Ottawa. He's the co-chair of Youth Ottawa, which is an organization that's in the middle of promoting the Spirit of the Capital Youth Awards, which is, I believe, one of the largest opportunities to recognize young people in the city. Again, June 11th is that event, and nomination closes March 31st. So if you know any young people in the spirit of Next Gen, nominate someone. He's joining us today as a break from his March break camp, which for a lot of us is taking, either your kids to events or family. I know I don't look like I can take my kids out yet. I don't. But for some of us, it is that case. It's also a case you get a little break. We also have Michael, who's a teacher, who's getting a little break from his day-to-day activities as well. But for Fahd, it's more meaningful. This is a week where he started one of his own initiatives, which I believe he'll touch on a little bit as well. So he's getting a little break from his kids today, and we're honored to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, Fahd Alhattab.
Thanks, guys, for having me. I look around the room and I see a lot of familiar faces that I've seen around the city of Ottawa, and I kind of had a funny way I was going to start my speech, but I figured I would start it differently. I wanted to say thank you. The philanthropists in this room and the culture that you've created in Ottawa has helped me, has helped my brothers and sisters, my family, and a lot of my friends. So the work that you do is fantastic.
for all the many causes that you support and everything that you do. I say thank you, and I say thank you to all the families that you've helped. So I want to give you a round of applause. Now, off to the funny part. What he didn't mention is I'm an aspiring part-time comedian. I say part-time because only part of my jokes are funny. So, got some laughs, right? And then I have a second confession. I was the kid in class who could never pay attention. You'd see a squirrel that way, and then the bird would come flying. So I might lose my train of thought and start rambling about different things. Just give me a little wave. Be like, Fahd, just come back, all right? So, I was asked to speak about next generation philanthropy. I feel like we were just at Sky Zone at the March break camp. You guys know what Sky Zone is? Jumping thing. So I'm going to step down on the floor just because I've already been jumping enough. I was thinking about it, and what are the main aspects of what next gen philanthropy is all about? And I always look to sometimes the mission and vision that organizations have. Everyone here has a mission and vision that they can probably blurt out. Yeah, most of you. Now, how many of you can you say that mission or vision gives you goosebumps? That mission vision kind of excites you, gets you going. A lot of us, maybe we're very passionate about our cause, so it does. But does that mission and vision excite other people? Does it give them goosebumps? Does it get us excited? Does it make us want to dance? Does it make the kids jump up? I think that's part of what we have to ask. And a lot of engaging this next generation is a lot about that. They're about the hype. They're about the excitement. Hype, for you older folks, is another word for cool. No. I'm just being a punk. Don't take it. It's about the hype. It's about the excitement. And so I don't say go and change your mission and vision. That takes way too long and is a whole tedious process. But I say have an ambitious statement. Call it your ambitious statement. And I always refer to the one with John F. Kennedy. He said there was 3 parts to this ambitious statement. There is direction, there is motivation, and there's a timeline. And so what he said is, we're going to send someone to the moon. We're going to bring them back, by the way. So we're going to send someone to the moon. We're going to bring them back within the next decade. That was huge. That was powerful. That gave people excitement. And the nation rallied behind that. Technology rallied behind that. And so when we're fundraising and we're getting people to give to our causes, what gets them excited? What's that ambitious statement that's going to get someone to pull out their wallet right now and say, listen, here, take my money. Because I think what you're doing is amazing. So I say that's one of the things of kind of getting our generation into it. Because there's a lot going on. And there's a lot, and we hear it here, and we hear it there. And so what is it that we go after? What gets us excited? So that was number 1. Number 2, when I run around camp, and we have 55 kids running around the cafeteria, and we're trying to serve lunch, they're all yelling. They're yelling, oh, can I? We serve tacos today. Anyone here a fan of tacos? Hard shell or soft shell? Anyone? We only had hard shell. The kids weren't happy. So what we did is they were all yelling, they were all talking, so we had to quiet them down. And this, to me, was a perfect analogy of how social media is. Who here is on Twitter for their organization? Yeah. Who here is on Facebook? Who here is on LinkedIn? Who here is on Instagram? That's a bit different. Oh, okay, yeah, I was surprised. You got a few Tumblrs, maybe? Okay, Pinterest? I'm getting excited here, sorry. So there is a lot going on, right? Without a doubt, and I think we all recognize that. So how do we get through the buzz? Because what a lot of organizations I see do, and I know some of you don't, because I know some of you that are very active social media, but a lot of it is shouting out. We're there, and can you imagine you standing on the street corner and say, hey, I'm going to this event tonight. Hey, we're fundraising for this. Is anyone really going to listen? Right? No, there needs to be purpose to listen. So a lot of Twitter and a lot of Facebook and a lot of these social media are conversations between you and I. They're conversations between me and you, and you. They're not conversations to everybody, because nobody sees themselves as an audience. People see themselves as individuals. And our donors and the people that give us money see themselves as individuals. And you guys know that. As the basic donors, many of you have worked in philanthropy for a long time. But it's the same basic principle for social media. We need to create that personal level and that personal direct relationship with our followers and the people that like our page and the people that follow our Pinterest, and engage them in developing content and posting on our Tumblr and posting on our Facebook and kind of telling us what's happening. And when we have that two-way conversation, magic happens. And when I say magic happens, we get into the third point that I was going to bring up. I call it having sex with data. Pretty edgy, right? So the magic happens with social media, and then you have sex with data? Okay. So what does that mean? I think we live in the world of data. We live in a world where your cell phones know more about your day than your spouse or your friend. And it's true. And it's all being recorded. And Amazon probably knows more about what you like to buy than yourself. And Google knows what you like to search more than you do. And they're all collecting data on us. And Walmart knows exactly the route you took when you bought the diapers for your child, and then you want to buy the chocolate so your wife can't find out when you're gaining a few pounds, because of the chocolate, right? But Walmart knows the route you took because they know what sections of the store you were going. Why don't we do that? So a lot of the new way of engaging, and a lot of actually a huge industry in kind of workers, is expanding, are jobs for people to analyze data. It's expanding in businesses, it's expanding everywhere because there is so much available. I had listened to a speaker, someone who helped run the Obama campaign, and he was a fantastic speaker. And he talked about the amount of data they did for their Twitter, their Facebook, and their emails. They would send out email blasts with 15 different copies with different words. And they would see the ranking of which ones were open the most. They would take the top 10, reword a bit of them, send them out again to a smaller group. And then they would see why each one was working. Then they would take the top 5 of those, finally to take 2 really good emails. And the difference was, in their donating, was the word, please donate, and you should donate. And they only found that out by testing, by constant data streams coming back and looping back, right? So it's not easy. It's not, I think social media is one of those things where we all want to be good at it, for sure. We all want to be good at it, but we're not all willing to invest in it. And that's the question we have to ask ourselves, and we have to ask our organizations and the people we work with, is how much are we actually willing to invest in data and social media? Is the return on engaging with these tools to engage the next generation really effective enough? I don't personally have an answer right off the top of my head. I think they are. I think it is not only 18 to 35-year-olds that are engaging on social media and Twitter, but there are the 60, 50-year-old donors who maybe aren't tweeting, but are watching your organizations. And their direct relationship with your organization is a web-based, and they've never met you. And they will decide whether they're going to give money or not based on that. Now, the last one was a question that I was asked is, how do we engage young philanthropists in continuing the philanthropy work? How do we engage them? How do we engage university students? And it kind of stumped me. Because we did a survey for Youth Ottawa, Child and Youth Friendly Ottawa, and we were trying to see what top issues are youth facing, what do they want? University students, high school students, what are they looking for? And in the top 2, the second one was leadership level volunteer opportunities. So they want to come and volunteer for your organizations, but they want to be on the committee from the start. They want to help you plan from the start. They want to be empowered. They don't want to sit behind the desk and just take the tickets. They're looking for those opportunities. They're looking for the chance to engage in philanthropy in levels that are much higher and much more much more rewarding to them and much more rewarding to the organizations. So reach out to the university students because they are fundraising on their campuses thousands of dollars for so many different organizations. And they're doing a great job of it, and they are learning on their own. And if we bring them in and engage them in leadership level opportunities, it'll be fantastic. So my 4 quick points to wrap up. Number 1, let's get it excited. Let's have an ambitious statement. I want goosebumps the next time you talk about your fundraiser, okay? The second one, I'm losing my train of thought. What was the second one? Can anyone remind me? Social media. Second one was social media, right? If we choose to invest in social media, let's really invest in it. Let's not talk out, to the public. Let's talk to individuals. Let's make it a conversation. Let's make it exciting. Third, let's have sex with data. Let's find out where we're being reached, who's reaching us, and how they're reaching us. And last but not least, engage the university students who are already volunteering their own time to fundraise for hundreds of different organizations. Thanks, guys, for listening.
All right, excitement levels building up a little bit. Good job, good job. Okay, we're going to get right into it. Rama Imadi. She's a youth activist and a student at the University of Ottawa. Her involvement at the school and in the community includes being the vice president of the Syrian Association of Ottawa, which is not just associated with the university anymore. And her involvement also focused on, one example is being able to raise over $200,000 in humanitarian aid for the Syrian crisis. It's not only the message that highlights her principle-based approach to her philanthropy, which you get a sense of once you just start talking with her about what she does. It's also the medium in which she and her team have been so successful in using. If you haven't had a chance to yet, check out their Twitter feed, #KeepUsWarm. Again, that's #KeepUsWarm. Or look up Keep Us Warm official promo on YouTube, and you'll get a sense of understanding where their fundraising is coming from and what their medium is. Ladies and gentlemen, Rama Imadi.
Hi everyone, I'm Rama Imadi, the Vice President, as he said, and actually the Syrian Association was a student-based association, and as Fahd actually nicely closed off, he kind of actually opened it up for me. We're a group of students with absolutely no fundraising experience previously, and with a common goal of fundraising and helping our home country, we came together and created this organization to show not just the war side that that the media has been showing about our country, our beloved country, but rather also the humanitarian side, the cultural side, the beautiful side of our country. So as a student-based organization, we started out very small. So what we did was we participated in International Week, for example, which is an event that highlights the cultural sides of various countries in the University of Ottawa. So what we did, we had basically just a little table. We had a couple of cultural items that we have from home that we treasure as just something from part of our heritage, and we just showed up for this one day, and people started asking us, they're like, so where is Syria? As Syrians, this shocked us. It's like, before this crisis, nobody knew where Syria was. So then we started saying, oh, it's right next to Lebanon. And they're like, oh yeah, that's where Lebanon, or that's where Syria is. So then this got us thinking. It's just like, so awareness needs to be brought into this campus, not just saying there's a war in this place, but also there's a war in this place where there is life. So people just kept saying, oh, so how is it there? Are your family okay? It's like, yes, but it's not just our family that's being affected, but also a great history of a great country. So we started out in this small kind of events that we started. We started a couple of on-campus events, and then we started out a little bit big. We started inviting more than just students that were able to pass by between classes. We started a show. We had our first show called A Night in Syria, which focused on bringing or showing the life of Syrians, and we started doing skits and different cultural shows as well. That started bringing in a lot more interest about Syria itself as a country rather than just a country of war. We moved from not just doing events here, but also in Mississauga. We did one show also, which we named Night in Syria 2. And that kind of gave us the idea of just, there's a different way of fundraising for money. So people started coming up to us and saying, how else can we help? We're raising awareness. That's great. People know about this now, a year and a half later since the crisis. But how else can we start getting people to feel and say that this is not just, instead of them saying that it's not our problem anymore, rather than, oh, I'm so messed up right now. Rather than them saying that it's not up to us to fix, but have them say, we can help even if it's small. So what we started doing, we got the Student Association, we got it to become a non-profit organization with the Canadian government. So rather than just making it student-based, we now opened it up to a bigger audience. So it's not just students, it's also our parents as well as family, friends, anybody who's interested. After that, we started doing campaigns. We noticed that with events, it's really hard to kind of coordinate with everyone's schedules. Sometimes there's a midterm, sometimes there's someone sick, or like someone's off on vacation. We started doing online campaigns. The online campaigns are really nice because they last for maybe 2 weeks. You come up with an idea and you just make it easy for someone to donate. So for example, we had 3 campaigns in the past 2 years. We had the first one that Medin mentioned was the Keep Us Warm. So Keep Us Warm was the idea of fundraising for blankets for Syrian refugees in camps that aren't supported for winter. So last winter was the first time actually in a few years that had the coldest winters in Syria and nearby countries. So what we did with the campaign consisted of it was a live stream. So a live stream is pretty much just accessing a video on YouTube and just watching it live happen somewhere else. There's a lot of events that do that as well, but we decided to just keep the event completely on YouTube. So what we did, we had 4 guys just in shorts and tank tops in the middle of winter in December, and we had people access this link and saying, check this out. This is what it's like to be a Syrian refugee without any access to the winter clothing, to heating, to any of the stuff that we have here, which enable us to live with the cold conditions. So then we started having dares as well on these live streams. So we said, you know what, you could pay $10 and you could see someone throw a snowball at someone else. You could pay $20 and see 2 people throw snowballs at each other. And then we started having an exchange with these viewers, and they started saying, let's put on makeup on this guy. Let's get him to cut off his hair. Let's throw pies at each other. So we started getting engagement with our audience and our association. So we did this again. We did this 2 more times, and in total, the Keep Us Warm, we had Keep Us Warm 1, 2, and 3, all in December. Last one was last December, actually. And in total, it raised over $20,000 just from this campaign itself. So we thought that it was a very unique idea, and the fact that this idea has been able to be used by other associations all over the world, actually. We got contacted from Texas University, as well as Western, and another one from the UK, and they asked us, how do you do this? What is the idea behind it? So just coming up with new ideas to just make it easy for people to come to you and be interested in this. It's really important. We found as a student association that's just starting up with barely any experience that this is probably one of the the most desirable things is just to have the people that you're asking to donate, just have them be comfortable and just ease of access as well. So I hope this kind of sparked on an idea, and thank you for listening.
That was awesome. Thank you, Rama. We'll continue on. Michael Small, he's a teacher with the Ottawa Carleton District School Board, but his roots are in community-based philanthropy. His work includes being a volunteer and a youth program coordinator at the Banff Avenue Community House, one of our city's great community houses. One of several initiatives that he's been able to put his mark on is the creation of the Ledbury Banff Community Scholarship, which I believe he's going to speak on today. He's a great man with a great track record supporting young people in the pursuit of more than what they are simply told they can accomplish. And when you're working with a lot of low-income communities the way Michael has, that means a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Small.
Okay, like Fahd, I'm probably going to move around a lot. I'm a primary school teacher. I teach grade 3. They're 9-year-olds, so we tend to move around. I tend to be always around. I teach from all corners of the classroom. And knowing that my kids have about a 5-minute attention span, and you guys have already been sitting for about 15, 20, can everyone just get up? We're going to do a little bit of a stretch. Come on, stand, stretch. I know you need it. Okay, come on, that's it. Give yourself a stretch. Sit back down, get our focus back. Okay, we need a body break. It's part of learning, right? It's part of the learning process. Again, thank Fahd for inviting, thank you Fahd for speaking. Thank you Rama, that was a very brave speech. Coming up, she told us that this was her first time speaking in front of such a large group. So can we get another round of applause for her? Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank Medin for inviting me here because I don't get a lot of recognition for what I do, mainly because what I do is very small, okay? I work specifically on one little scholarship program here in one little small community housing project here in the city, okay? One low-income community. And what I focus on is community-based fundraising, but youth-led community-based fundraising, okay? I am the facilitator for the fundraising, but by no means am I the complete creator. I have to give a lot of credit to the youth that I have had work with me through this entire process. My scholarship program has been running for 5 years now. We've given out 9 scholarships to recent high school graduates from the Ledbury Banff community. For those of you who don't know anything about Ledbury Banff, quick Google search, you'll pull up lots of news articles, police reports, video on the Ledbury Banff Crips. Supposed gang organization, well not supposed, it is a gang organization here in Ottawa that has actually been pushed out of the Ledbury Banff community thanks to wonderful initiatives like the No Communities Left Behind and partnerships with City of Ottawa, United Way, Rotary Club of Ottawa South, IODE, Laurentian Chapter, and many other wonderful organizations supporting that community. And what I've learned in my 5 years working in this community is that fundraising and fundraisers can actually change community culture, can have an impact on community culture, what a community says about itself, how a community views itself, and how a community moves forward into the future. I grew up in a very similar neighborhood in Toronto. Gang violence, criminal activity, prostitution, that was a daily part of my life. Walking to school, I would walk past drug addicts, gang members. That was part of my life. My father spent most of my childhood in and out of prison. Okay, I feel a very strong connection to these communities because I come from those communities. And what I wanted to do was give back when I got here to Ottawa. And I was at Carleton University and I was doing a cultural anthropology course, and one of the things I had to do was go into a neighborhood and do some field work and create a paper. And my paper was going to be based on gang culture, because why? Because I wanted to know about that. So did a Google search, found this Ledbury Banff community with this supposed gang in there, and I was going to infiltrate that gang, and I was going to learn everything I could about it, and I was going to write about it. Except I got to the community and there was no gang. There was a community looking to define itself, and one of the major organizations there is a little-known community house named the Banff Avenue Community House. And that community house, in partnership with Ontario Community Housing, which is where I met Medin at the time, really works with the people in the community to try to develop a stronger community. And one of the things I noticed lacking was the focus on education. Myself being a teacher and coming from a neighborhood that definitely lacked a focus on education, this was something I knew I could hopefully try to provide. And that's what inspired me to create a scholarship program for that. And my scholarship program, its success isn't measured in the dollars that we've raised, which is over $25,000 in 5 years, so I'm pretty proud of that. It's not in the amount of scholarships we've given out, which is 9 to date, but it is in the conversation, the dialogue that we have created in the community. When I first got there and I was helping out and volunteering at the homework club, I could ask any primary school kid, what university, what college are you planning to go to? And they would look at me with the complete blank face that I would have given anyone who asked me that question when I was their age. If you were to go into the community and you went into the homework club now and you asked that question to any primary kid, they would be able to at least name you 2 or 3 of the major university colleges here in Ottawa, if not some from around the country. And the reason for that is the dialogue that's been created by this scholarship program, this little localized scholarship program. But these primary students have now seen their brothers and their sisters, their cousins, come up and fundraise through this program, seen them win a scholarship, seen the community come out and support them. And that conversation is being had now. Of our 9 winners, 5 of them directly worked on our scholarship program. 5 of them ran fundraising events with us. We're part of the planning process for the fundraisers. To kind of go back to what Fahd said, you need to engage youth from the very beginning, from the organizational standpoint of your fundraisers. There is no way that youth just want to go to a fundraising event and set up and clean up and hand out food. That is boring. It's not engaging enough for them. They want to be part of it. And I know Fahd was talking about getting university students involved, but you guys need to go beyond that and actually get high school students involved. Okay? Yes, they have guaranteed volunteer hours that they have to complete. That's a bonus. That's a resource. Tap into it. Okay? If you're able to get them excited about their volunteer work, they are going to put in way more above and beyond the amount of hours that they need to contribute. From my youth council and my youth drop-in groups alone, I've had youth participate and put in over 1,500 volunteer hours in their 4 years of high school. That's all in engagement. That's all in getting them involved in the planning process right from the very beginning. Not only are they doing good, working with the community, helping the community, running events that take pressure off parents in the community, because we do a lot of camps. We do summer camp in the winter, where we take kids for a weekend, and parents get a weekend off. We do all kinds of talent show events and kind of a lot more of the traditional fundraising events, yes, but it is their ideas that are running it. It is their plans that are being followed through upon, okay? I'm just there to facilitate, okay? I'm just there to make sure that everything is running smooth, but they are doing all of the work, okay? And that's kind of where I see the next gen of philanthropy going. That's kind of where I see we need to be pushing for that next generation, is giving them the power, empowering them. Real estate has this saying, the ABCs of real estate, right? Always be closing, always be closing, always be closing. I kind of have the ABTs of philanthropy, and that's always be training, Always be training, always be training, always be training. Let's train that next generation. And let's train them from 13 and 14 years old. There's no need to wait till they're 21 or they're 30, okay? They have the ability and the time to really get involved from that young age, okay? Another bonus, especially working in low-income housing communities, is you're keeping them away from all of the other deviant behaviors. Although where I grew up, the deviant behavior was the normal behavior, and the normal behavior was the deviant behavior, but anyways. It's keeping them away, it's keeping them involved, it's keeping them connected to a community. And by doing so, you are creating a community culture, a community of caring, and a community of people who really want to give back. Okay? Many of the students that started the scholarship program with me now are in university or college, either at Algonquin, Carleton, or Ottawa U. And every single one of them are involved with different fundraising activities at their university. When I first got there, there was only about 7 people on their youth council. Today, we have 25. Okay? In a community of 702 people, 25 engaged youth is huge. And that's what we need to be doing heading into the next generation, is looking at these youth, tapping into local youth programs, local youth councils, local youth drop-ins, getting involved, going there, meeting with them, spending the time, okay? Going to the universities, going to the high schools, not just asking them for help, but asking them for ideas. Okay, I love the way that the new technology is going, and that's making everything simple, but nothing beats the face-to-face contact. Nothing beats sitting down with the youth and listening to their ideas and empowering them and giving them those opportunities. Okay? That's about all I have to say. I do welcome questions when we get to that point. Thank you all for coming and listening, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. All right, last but not least, we have one of Ottawa's fearless and passionate philanthropists. He's been doing this work for over 20 years now, for sure. He's, you can see in his bio, there's tons of awards, tons of recognitions, which do make him blush, so if you want to make him blush, you can do that. Just talk about that. He's very creative. He's found many diverse ways of actually giving back, and you can tell when you talk to him as well about how much passion he has with the projects he takes on. The 105, 110 you take on a week, is that about it? As part of the preparation for this, we had a discussion with some of the committee members, and we were asking Tuan, well, what kind of themes do you have? What kind of concepts do you try to implement when you're taking on a new project? He said right now what he's really trying to remind people to do when they're taking on their own projects or when he's doing it himself is to, quote, bring sexy back. I think he stole that from someone. But, ladies and gentlemen, Tuan Nguyen.
How's everyone doing today? So far, so good? Wonderful panel of speakers here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I'm going to rip through this really quickly because I have been very fortunate to have done a lot of really cool things, really sexy things. And I'm going to start with like a 1-minute summary of who I am and where I came from and how it's led me to do what I do today. So I was born in Vietnam. I came here in '75. I was very sick. I was saved by medicine and our community here. And Canada's been wonderful, so I've always given back to my country and my community. And I pursued med school, and I volunteered a ton because you know that when you go to med school, you gotta volunteer and give back, and mom and dad always told me to give back, and mom and dad taught me to live with gratitude and be thankful for everything that I have. And so in my pursuit of med school, I pursued McGill, and the 11th hour I decided not to pursue med school because in the process of pursuing med school, my volunteerism made me realize what I've been doing all these years, which was everything I loved to do in life, I did it for charity. So I used to play musical instruments in the band in grade 8, and I would just go to Metro, because I'm from Montréal, Quebec, Salut mes amis. And so I would just go in there and brought a bunch of friends because we practice anyway, so why don't we just practice in front of a bunch of strangers and get some money out of it? Might as well, and donate to charity. And then I love volleyball, I love sports, I love fashion, so I just included everything I did every day. Every birthday since I was 14 years old was a fundraiser. And it was just something I just did and I enjoyed. And even when I volunteered in the hospital, I volunteered at Jewish General, Maimonides, Montreal Children's, and it was such a wonderful experience, but I noticed a lack of resources in the hospitals, even at a young age, and I noticed that people were suffering, and I just want to help that suffering. And I realized that being a doctor wasn't the way to how I want to help them. So in the 11th hour, I thought, geez, do I go to med school or what do I do? And I said, oh, I'm going to actually become a business person because I grew up in an impoverished neighborhood. I've seen gunshots, I've seen rape, drugs, and it's just everything I grew up with. And luckily for me, I fell into volunteerism while some of my friends fell into gangs. And I don't know where they are actually, to be honest. I hope they're okay and alive. But when I decided to not go to med school, I decided to come to Ottawa U for engineering. And I did chemical engineering, and while studying that, I realized it didn't really teach me how to grow a business. So I went to business school, and that's when I was like, whoa, this is how you make money. This is really cool. And so I started thinking, how do I apply some of these principles into fundraising? How do I apply business concepts into fundraising? And while I'm thinking about and understanding the whole concept of business, I was going to these business events, and there was a lot of these wonderful events with wonderful entrepreneurs, and they're speaking. And what did I think? Cool, inspiring, but man, is it ever boring. And I thought it was boring. And I thought, it's got to be something sexier to these events. And so I came up with this idea, which I brought from Montreal, which is, what if we had a business dinner, like a business dinner, not with a bunch of young kids in high school, like a business dinner with professionals, adults, parents, and we throw a dance-inspired Broadway-style fashion show. And I brought this to the dean at the University of Ottawa back in those days, and he's like, oh, Tuan, business dinner with a fashion show, I don't think it's going to fly. And thanks to the sexiest man in this room, Mr. Max Keeping, he told me about a time where he saw Pierre Elliott Trudeau say the words, just watch me. And so I said to him, just watch me. And that's kind of the attitude of Next Gen, just watch me, all right? I don't care. And so I just did it anyways. I went off and I got together a bunch of friends. I sold the idea, and people thought, wow, fashion show, dance, music, business, dinner, this is pretty awesome. And the vibe was really cool. And so the participation, which is step one, is the gathering of peoples is always a challenge. And so, as they said earlier, I try to bring sexy back to everything I do. And I want everyone here to really challenge the status quo and challenge, because when you challenge the status quo, that's when you become sexy. My boy Christian here is from Ryerson. I'm just so happy he's here because I have the privilege of traveling across the country years ago, and I taught to a lot of the universities, and I love every university, but I'm in love with Ryerson because Ryerson is always challenging the status quo. And I really, really feel that these students have come up with some really, really sexy ideas, and it's driven them into a whole new space in the university world. And now they have a place to play in terms of educating our future business professionals, or professionals in general. And so Sexy Back is what it's all about. But then you move forward, and the reason why I felt that I was very lucky is because, again, my mentor, Max Keeping, we talk about next generation, how do we engage them? And the funny thing is, next generation is kind of afraid of you guys, and you guys are afraid of next generation. The fear goes on both sides. And we don't realize that, but that's what is happening. But it takes a lot of courage for someone to open up that door. And it takes what I call the sturdy generation to believe in young people. And Max believes in young people. Why? Because he's the youngest person here, right? And that's I would say is actually the number one thing we need to do is to really reach out. It's our responsibility to reach out. But why will they listen to us? Because we're going to be sexy like they are, right? And that's really, really important. And So moving forward, I think, okay, so I got the people, I just want to give back. And the reason I'm talking with this tone is when you first met me, if you met me 10 years ago, I was all about the altruistic message. And I'm still all about altruism, but I'm also about sustainability. I'm about making sure things move forward. I'm about making sure the charities have the resources they need. And so thankfully, I went into the business school. And I learned how businesses sustain themselves and how they created value and how they created products. And so I'm going to give you actual examples because there's theories and philosophies that we could probably sit and talk for hours and hours. But I want to give you actual examples of what I've done that has worked for me. And through Q&A, or we could speak afterwards, and I could expand on that later on with the limited time we have. But we'll take a sponsorship package, for example. You have gold, silver, bronze, 1,000, 750, 500. I look into the benefits and I create the value in each level. But just like in a business world, they have different margins for different product levels. And I have different margins. And I'm giving like my secret here for the first time ever, which is I always approach companies with a certain level, but I know which level has the highest margin. And so I would come in, I know most companies don't have 1,000 to 2,000 to give, and I close on 500 to 750. But it's okay, I don't mind having a room full of bronze sponsors because that's my highest margin sponsorship level. And so at the end of the day, the table is full of 10 bronze sponsors, but $500 gives me a margin of about 420. So one table gives me $4,200. I have 50 tables, you're looking at $200,000 in an event. Right, but hey, that bronze level gives you one ticket, so how about this? I'll give you a second ticket to bring a friend. So you've just turned $200,000 potential down to half because you give a ticket away to every single person, and now you have a $100,000 fundraiser. You do 10 of these and you get $1 million. That's what I did. And so it's all about the business side too. We have the other side down pat because that's conventional, but the business side is very important. And so I encourage you to do that. And I'll give you another real quick example. Someone wants to organize, or two of them, organize a golf tournament. I'm like, oh my goodness, golf tournament. It's a full year, lots of resources, lots of time, ding, 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 ding. $20,000 raised, $30,000 raised. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I don't want to do this. Let's try to be really creative. And how do I do it? I actually talked to my young friends. At that time, I think I was 29, so I talked to my university friends. And they're like, why don't we just use your driving range and see how much we can maximize out of that? This was in Montreal, McGill. And so what we did was we took 15 slots of a driving range. We decorated really beautifully. And we invited 15 CEO VPs who love to play golf. And they had 15 minutes with underprivileged children. So in an hour, they saw 3 kids, each of these executives, and they had to pay $2,000 per slot. So now we have 15 executives, $2,000 per slot, $30,000. Then you go to an executive recruiting firm and you get it for $10,000, and there's the value right there. So now you're suddenly raising $40,000 with just a space of 15 slots from a driving range. And it goes on because now you have people, you have a captive audience, you can create value. Now let's talk about social media. These guys already touched on that. And you talk about recognition. And when you build a sponsor package and you go to TD Bank or whoever, you say, oh, I'll give you visibility on my website. Well, no one really goes to your website. So the best way to do it is you got to have partnerships. So if you go Nike, depending who you're targeting, you go to Nike, you go to this person, and you get them to leverage their newsletters to blast your event. So in Ottawa, I do stuff with health and wellness. I created partnerships with 50 organizations, and combined newsletter reach was 600,000. There's lots of overlap. But now I could tell my sponsors that as a gold or silver sponsor or bronze or title, you're going to be featured in all of our partnership newsletters. So it doesn't have to be money, but it's amazing how someone can lend their newsletter subscribership just to push your event. And that's visibility. It's creating value, real value. And next generation, that's how I think it's real value. They demand accountability. And now it's time to wrap it up. And so they demand a lot of accountability, and it's because we Google now, we are very stubborn. Back in those days, you market so people come to your storefront. People now these days, they Google and they say, come to me. I want the results to come to me. That's the mentality of next generation. It's come to me, but I'm willing to also come to you. That's the beauty of it. So bring sexy back. Have the courage, the sturdy generation. We have to reach down, but we got to be sexy and reach down. But then we also have to think about the business side. And young people need that mentorship on that side. That's what we have to offer. And to end, this is like what I love, what my one friend, client, sponsor said. Tuan, I was like 22 years old. He's like, you have all the great ideas, but I have the experience to make it happen. Let's work together. I need you, you need me. So I'd like to do one thing. I'd like everyone to stand up. I'm going to take a video, I'm going to tweet it. And I'd like to, because it's time to be sexy and we're going to dance. So I'm going to count up to 3. I'd like everyone to scream, let's dance. Okay? So after 3, everyone screams, let's dance. All right, everybody, you ready to rock and roll? 1, 2, 3, let's dance! Thank you very much.
Oh, people still want to dance in the back? Go ahead, you can dance, no problem. You're allowed. Well, we have time for 2 questions. There's a microphone right here, and there's a microphone in the back. If you want, please step up and pose your questions. As well, if you have some questions specifically for someone, just point them out, and they'll be more than happy to answer that. Come on, brave souls. All right, right on. Come on up. Thank you.
Hi, guys. I know one of you. So I know you guys obviously inspire a lot of people, including this room, but where do you look for your inspiration on a day-to-day, week-to-week? How do you refresh, your inspiration so it inspires you to do more?
I mean, I can handle that. Because I work directly with youth and children, I mean, my inspiration is in front of me every single day. I mean, just listening to their ideas, seeing their enthusiasm, and working with them on a daily basis, my inspiration is always there.
Fahd, do you want to take?
Yeah, I can relate very much. There's I do a lot of youth programs very similarly and different camps. And I've come, to the point where I'm supervising the camps and overseeing them, where I don't have to be on the front lines. But people ask me, well, why are you still in the front lines? Why are you actually running it still? I say, well, that's the best part, right? We're there with the kids, and when we're there with them, I share that very much. You not only see the effect of the administrative work that you're doing, but you really see it in the kids, and when you really see the effect hands-on, it makes a big difference, I'm sure, as you know.
For me personally, I feel like when you see the results coming to you, like we send out, for example, the money to Syria, and then they show us pictures of, like, for example, the Keep Us Warm campaign. We sent the money and they bought the blankets for them, and they delivered them themselves. So they took pictures of the children when they received these blankets, and those are children that pretty much left everything at home. So like just seeing the smile on these children's faces, like in real time, is just really inspiring. And the fact that I am connected to hundreds of Syrian activists all over North America, and seeing their energy, I literally feed off theirs. So when I see them doing something in their own city, in Chicago, in Michigan, in Detroit, wherever it is, it just makes me feel like I should do the same here. I have the power, I can do it.
Yeah.
I think we have. Do you want to answer? Go ahead, Tuan.
Don't have to.
No. We have one more question, but you.
Same thing. I try to definitely do all this. I mean, we all do the same thing, but I think there's a spiritual component that I always like to engage myself with. I try to connect with spiritual leaders, and with the amount of noise that's going on, I find that in order to really connect with people, it's really important to stay spiritually grounded. And so I speak to philanthropists and young people, of course, for the inspiration, but there are many people who, I'm sure in your circle, that you could identify that are spiritual people, and I think it's something that I recommend for everyone, because it really allows you to connect, and it comes very genuinely through your communication.
Great. We have, question in the back.
Hi, my name is Cynthia. I'm with the Foundation Office at the Royal, and thank you so much for coming out and sharing your stories and your wealth of information about youth philanthropy. My question is, I've heard, I try to attend as many of these as I can, specifically about youth and new generation. How do organizations go about engaging them, which I'm learning, but how long do we have them committed? And I'm getting the sense that their interest lies in projects, a beginning and an end. Is that something that seems to be very common, or is that just something, assumptions I'm starting to make, or does that seem to be a fair kind of statement?
We'll have one person answer that. Tuan, go ahead.
Sure. I would half agree. I think in the community, there's two types of groups or people in general. There are community leaders, youth leaders, but there's also followers who want to be led. And the ones that want to be led are the ones who go from project to project. But there are community leaders that will just stay engaged, take control, and it's really identifying those leaders. And we could talk later if you like. I have some ideas that I haven't implemented, but I could run it by everyone later on. And it's about getting to the hub and the centers of influences among that crew. Yeah.
We do have time for one more, so if you'd like to ask that question, I'd invite Sam to come up as well and do the thank yous.
All right. Is it on? Fantastic. Well, before I ask my real question, I just wanted to say, how are those couches that you're sitting on? They look very comfortable. Yeah? I thought they were massage chairs at first. I was going to jump on them, but it's okay. So the question I had was with regards to the youth activism, getting them involved. Particular to Carleton University, there's like 250 clubs that we have on campus. So there's a wide range of ways to get involved. So I realized a lot of the time they're overlapping, but people are always making like new organizations and everything like that. How do you think some of these organizations can like better work together and to actually get like the students more involved? Because a lot of the times you'll have one organization be like, oh, come help us out, and another one will be like, come help us out. And then what happens to the person is they start to get spread around, and at the end of the day, they just give up. And like, you know, I can't do it anymore because there's so much you can do, you know? Like, I am a human rights student, so we learn about animal rights. I'm like, I'm going to help out all the animals. And then we learn about stuff that's going on in Africa. And you know what, screw it, I'm going to go to Africa instead. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to do stuff here in like the oil sands or whatever. And there's so much to do, right? So how can you help, like, you know, getting the youth like involved, but staying focused? I know it's kind of a big question, but the focus. Just say, okay, you know, that's the question. How do you get them focused?
Rama looks like she. Yeah, go ahead.
This is probably my question for me. Personally, I'm pretty much just like you. I find any kind of cause really interesting, and I just want to help out with anything. But I just find what motivates me and like what makes me happier. Like, I can help out here locally, I can help out animals, I can help out other causes from other places other than Syria, but I feel like because I'm Syrian, I feel like this would be like, if I don't do it, who else will, kind of thing. Like, as opposed to like helping Somalian, the community, or like any other community. That's my personal experience.
Yeah, quickly
Jump in.
I think we talked about kind of what inspires us and what we're passionate about. Sometimes I flip that on its head. What pisses you off? You know, what, like, you think about it and you're like, oh my God, that can never happen, right? And then that anger to your bone that really sticks in, that's probably what you're passionate about, right? So kind of sometimes flip it around, because we say, oh, we like this and I like this, and yeah, it's true, we like everything, but what really pisses you off, go with that, and it sometimes helps.
Tuan wants to jump in. I'm going to step off the stage and invite Sam.
So I started something when I was in university, and which is something I probably should have said earlier, but I had a vision of ensuring that business students in the future will become responsible business professionals. And there were all these different faculties and student groups in the university. And so the first year we created like this fashion show event, right? But I had students from the engineering faculty build our website. I had students from HR do the managing the volunteers. We had students in the marketing association do all the marketing. And so it didn't overly encompass everyone, but the whole point is everyone understood, which is Fahd said earlier, the vision, which I said, the vision I want is that before students step right into the real world after graduating, I'd like them to be responsible, and setting that vision gave them the focus. And this organization started off helping the Children's Hospital, but now after 15 years, they're helping like probably 10 to 15 different causes, because the group has grown. But it's to paint that vision and the direction to know what we want to become. That's what really helps the focus.
Medin, thank you so much, and all of our panelists, thank you. It was an honor to have you here today. Now it is time for our breakout sessions. On the backs of your badges, you will have a number which will lead you to your next destination. Sounds like Amazing Race. Breakout number 1, Hot Topic Crowdfunding, is in the Atelier room, which is right over there behind the coffee. Breakout number 2, Tips, Tactics, and Tools, is in the Rotunda room, where you are right now, so don't move. And Trending Next Gen is in the boardroom, which is just through those doors over there. I encourage you to grab a snack and a refreshment, network, give out business cards, talk to your peers, and we'll see you back here for the final panel. Thank you.